tonight for our second speaker series of the semester and our Halloween party to follow afterwards. Tonight we have Nora LoGiudice, sorry, this totally slipped my brain. She's the Greater PA Region Disaster Program Specialist for the American Red Cross. So let's give our attention to Nora. Thank you, Nora, for coming.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So when you think of the American Red Cross, what do you think of? Response, recovery, yep.
I was going to say pretty similar to response to like hurricanes or large natural disasters, volunteer work, stuff like that.
Okay. Anyone else?
Think of like shelters and aid.
Yep. Shelters? Anything else? Yeah.
Blood work.
Yep.
Blood drives.
Yeah, we do blood drives. Yeah. One of the biggest, yeah. So when you think of the American Red Cross, since I'm speaking to future emergency planning and management graduates, either as a major or a minor, we're humanitarian. So we are all about the people. So we can't stop the hurricane. We can't do any of that. But what do? We take care of the people. So there's so many ways that will intersect in our communities. So it's not always just about the sheltering. It's, yes, they need a cot, they need a blanket, they need a pillow. We give them a comfort kit. If it goes over meals, depending on how long the shelter is going to be open, we will usually connect with the Salvation Army or Southern Baptist, depending. A lot of the big shelters that you see on TV, usually the Gulf states, southern states, big disasters, that would be the Southern Baptist. They come in from all over the country and help us with the feeding. We distribute it. They make the food, we distribute the food. So whether that be at our shelters, or we also will rent box trucks, and we will go out into the community and do drop-offs to certain places. Again, as the humanitarian, not everybody has to leave their home, but a lot of times they don't have the electricity and the ways to get their meals, or they've lost everything. If your power's out for a few days and you lose everything in your refrigerator, that's going to impact you financially as well as being able to make food. So we like to use that holistic approach. We also have nurses and EMTs because people get hurt sometimes on disasters, as well as they need their medication. So everything that's happening in society as a whole continues in a disaster. So think about, can you get to CVS? Is the mail being delivered if you get your prescriptions via mail? All of these things, some medications are life and death, literally. You have to have that medication. People with diabetes, they need their insulin, things like that. Insulin needs to be refrigerated. They lose their power, they don't have a refrigerator. It just keeps going, as you know. I'm sure you've studied enough disasters in your studies that you know that it's just one thing. So you take that whole community, and then you kind of take everything for granted and you strip it all away. So electricity, water, sewer systems, housing, all those things go away. So the Red Cross will come in, and that's where we try to help people in that. So we have nurses and EMTs that can help you with the medication. Stressful, right? Life is stressful enough. COVID, I think, has put a lot of us over the tipping edge of just tired of the mess, tired of people that have lost their income, people that, right, can't see family, right? People are stressed. Now you lose your home to a single family fire, and you're starting over again, right? People are on the edge. So we also have a lot of disaster mental health professionals that work with us, and they come out to help people in the disaster. Not only is that's all client facing, and I will tell you that most of what we do here in Central PA is single family houses. That's generally what happens. No one ever thinks it's going to happen to them, and I'm sorry that it does. But that's a huge thing. For you in emergency management, some of the things that I hope you will work on is, well, how does that work in with our government? Here in the Commonwealth, it's the local, right? So how can we influence zoning laws? How can we influence building codes? How can we influence that local management to say, can you really encourage people to have renter's insurance? Because that would really help. because I cannot tell you how many times I've stood outside of a house, they've lost everything, no renter's insurance, nothing. The American Red Cross will come in, and we are for the immediate need. So that is 1 to 2 days of housing, of a hotel. We don't do local sheltering here in Greater PA. We give people client assistance cards, or we can do EFTs. It gets a little crazy, but we basically give people money for 1 to 2 days. Does not go far when you're standing outside of a house that's completely lost. I mean, think about what you pack just to go home for the weekend, right? And if you had to replicate that, it doesn't go far. So Red Cross is just for the immediate need. So what we do is we partner with a lot of our other community nonprofits usually. Salvation Army helps with furniture, clothing. Food banks can help get people food, staples that they need. Sometimes it could be diapers. Veterans Affairs, we work with Veterans Affairs if we have a veteran that's lost their housing. There's other groups. Currently in Pennsylvania, we're using 211, which is kind of that clearinghouse for housing, so we direct them to that. That's a long process for a lot of people. The wait for affordable housing in this Commonwealth it's hard. But doing that 211, what it does is it gets our clients with their particular needs, whether they're elderly, veterans, young children, it will kind of channel them into the organizations that can best help them. So what we do is after a fire, we go to the fire, we help with that immediate need, that immediate financial assistance, and then we also have caseworkers, which will they'll talk to them and find out, okay, what do you need? How can we get you back on your feet? What is the best way to help you? It's not always financial. Sometimes people just need a little bit more direction or connection into another organization that can really supply them with what they need. So we try to be part of that whole community approach to somebody who's lost everything or has been displaced due to fire. So that's kind of that disaster world. We are so much more though. We have logistics. We have business people. It's everything is in the American Red Cross. We are a big national, international, if you want to go with the International Red Cross as well, Crescent, and the other ones that don't use the cross. But so we are a humanitarian group. We did help when they brought the Afghan refugees in. Again, we helped with some of that sheltering when they came in. There were children that came in from the southern border. They came up to Pittsburgh. We helped to get situations stabilized. We're not long-term. So American Red Cross is really in, quick, what's that immediate need, and then how do we process people to long-term recovery groups. We work really well with the state, the federal, local organizations that can kind of do those wraparound services for them. So, and then of course blood donation, that's separate from disaster. I don't have anything to do with that, but obviously we do blood donations. So here at the university, if you would like to have a Red Cross club, we do offer those. We have somebody, Allie Wise, she works out of our Harrisburg office. She works with a lot of colleges and high schools that want to have a Red Cross club. What that does is maybe you want to bring blood donation center to your campus. If you want to be active in the local Lancaster County disaster action team, that would be me. We're always looking for volunteers. CJ, one of our volunteers with the American Red Cross. So as a disaster action team member, he will actually get called to go out. You don't have to do that. We have a lot of things that you can do virtually from your dorm room or house, or that is called virtual. So that would be your caseworkers. So we do have a lot of people that are in the more of the social, humanitarian, let's say, what word am I looking for?
Social work?
Social work, yeah. So we have people that are, college age kids that are into social work and that's the way they want to help. You can volunteer with us and help with our caseworkers. We also have what we call duty officers. They're the ones, so if you're on the way it works, firefighters are on scene, and they say, okay, there's a family, or whoever, people, anyone, needs help. The damage is major or destroyed, meaning that we're gonna come in and help. We do not give financial assistance for smoke damage or a kitchen fire, you know, if it's just contained to that where it's smoke and odor. We will give you resources to help you, but there's not a financial piece to that. So the firefighter will call county will call the national number, and the national number puts it through to our local duty officers, and then they dispatch once we get the all clear. We never show up at a scene without being invited. Anyone know why? Go ahead.
Liability? Somewhat
Probably
like
somewhere
legal-
up in the national where they've got all the attorneys,
Yeah.
could be. But here locally, for me, when I have my, I don't know, say 50 volunteers in Lancaster County, what am I worried about?
So like the safety of your team?
Worried about the safety of my team. So we never go out without being dispatched. We want to make sure that that scene is secure. The firefighters also want to make sure that that scene is secure, and they don't want people just showing up. Unfortunately, I'm sure in your, I know I earned my degree in emergency planning and management as well, and I remember a lot of cases that, when you do those FEMA classes, right? What we're all preparing for is, sometimes people are just nasty, and they commit a crime, and then they light the house on fire. So the firefighters are there for the fire, but there's something else going on. We want to make sure that that's safe. We've had a case where they were making crystal meth. The house goes up. We read it on the news. We call and say, hey, were there any, do we need, no, they're in jail. Okay. They have their 2 days of shelter and food. So we didn't need to get involved in that. But we always want to make sure that we always get invited. We have, I'll tell you what, we have responders that are like, but it's in my neighborhood. I can see it. You can go there as an individual person. Do not put this, it's not this vest, it's another one with reflectives. We do not put on that Red Cross vest and go anywhere. I can't stop you from going and looking at the fire in your neighborhood, but I can stop you from putting on the red vest and acting as the Red Cross. And that's for your safety as well as the safety of the scene. As you know, around here we're pretty good, but there's some areas where EMTs now are wearing bulletproof vests. People stink. What am I saying? I know, I'm sorry, but this is where we are. So we're going to keep our people safe. There was a case just a few weeks ago. Our Red Cross responders were on scene. They see 3 firefighters running out of the house. They immediately back up 100 feet. Now, those firefighters were just being called to another fire, but we don't know that. We have no idea what they're finding. We had another case, pipe bombs. The apartment building was evacuated for pipe bombs, and we were there to support the firefighters and the people that were evacuated. So we bring our canteen. New York has a canteen. It's like a big ice cream truck. We can make hot dogs, and, peanut butter and jelly, and snacks, and water, and tea, and coffee. Ice pops in the summer, hot tea and hot coffee in the winter. In this area of the country, we have a lot of barn fires that are out in the middle of nowhere, and the canteen is basically the only thing that we can get there for them for that we rehab. We want to make sure that our firefighters are warm in the winter and cool in the summer. They love beef jerkies. Those their equipment, they sweat so much. Beef jerky is really salty, so they love having beef jerky when they're on scene. So we do. So we support people. So I think if that's the one thing I can get for not knowing where you're going to land in your careers, but think people. We're a humanitarian. We do not get involved with whether or not anybody is documented. Currently, we are having, unfortunately, a lot of house fires where we'll get dispatched as a single family, and we've had as many as 18 individuals come out of that house living there. We help every single one of them. We don't ask questions. A lot of times they don't give us their proper name, date of birth, phone number, email, so we have no way of reaching them again. So when our caseworkers go to call, we can't go, and we just say, we did all we could. We were still the good guys the night of the fire, and we showed up. That's what we pride ourselves on, is that we pride. We do help people, unfortunately as well. If there's a fatality with next of kin, we will work with the coroner. Again, offer a little bit more assistance to pay for the funeral expenses. We offer that disaster mental health, anything we can do like that. We also, that's kind of our local, and then we also think big picture thing, big disasters. There was a synagogue out in Pittsburgh, there was a shooting. We were out there to support those families and the survivors there. We were just down in Miami when the building collapsed, we were there. Again, there's an event, and as emergency planning managers, that's what you're dealing with, right? You're dealing with that whole government, responders, whatever they need. Call the Red Cross, we're really good with the people. So we'll help the survivors, the families, members, as well as your first responders. Like I said, we do a lot, especially out in work with our canteen, to support our firefighters. They're out there, sometimes for a long time. We do search and rescues. We're out there, again, supporting the first responders, the firefighters, or the search and rescue people. So we like to be part of a community. We are mostly volunteers. So that comes in really important to know your community, and I can't stress that enough. Wherever you go, whatever you do in emergency planning and management, you're gonna have to know your community. So when we think about Lancaster County and how many people live here, what's the biggest segment that we don't worry about at the American Red Cross? We have basically zero interaction. The Amish. So as we look at how big, how many properties we have, how many people we have, when we look at the demographics of an area, who are they? If we have a high community of people from Korea, we're going to want to have volunteers that speak Korean, that know the culture, because if we ever have to open up a shelter for those people, we want to ensure that we're culturally sensitive. We're, we're going to feed them